Women are powerful creators. The Align Women podcast features female entrepreneurs, leaders, and other professional women who've demonstrated agency and innovation in their personal and professional lives. I'm your host, Amy Evans. I have authentic, intimate conversations with my guests that highlight their paths to success, their struggles and accomplishments, and the things that currently excite, motivate, and inspire them to turn their visions into reality. Welcome to the Align Women podcast. I'm Amy Evans, your host and the founder of Align Women, a leadership and networking organization for professional women. This podcast features female entrepreneurs, leaders, and other professional women who've demonstrated agency and innovation in their personal and professional lives. With me today is Carmen Bowen. Carmen is a good friend of mine. She has her master's degree in business administration, and she's the director of university relations for Saybrook University. She and I met through a professional organization, and we became fast friends. I love her energy and her positive attitude. Welcome to the podcast, Carmen.
Thank you so much, and I'm so happy to be here. I appreciate the invitation.
So one of the really fun things for me about having good friends on the podcast is I get to ask questions that we don't normally talk about in our normal conversation. And one of the things I discovered in doing the research for the podcast is that your entry into the world of higher education, which is how I've always known you, was not a straight line. And you actually started out as a restaurant owner before you went into higher education. So tell me about that path. I'd like to know more about it.
Oh my gosh. So way back in the day, I was, first I even co-owned a home health company with my mother first, which let me know that I could do it. It was frightening, of course. And then I had a partner in life that wanted to own a restaurant. I said, well, that's my superpower. I can make things happen. So I'd never even worked in a restaurant, never, but I made it happen, found a restaurant that was pretty much turnkey. And had to learn how to go take restaurant classes and the Board of Health. And so I made it happen. And it was called Taste of the Caribbean. Being an owner of anything, it takes everything you have. And you got to have that passion as well. Loved doing it. It was a great experience. But you might have to kill me to do anything like that again.
A lot of work, right?
A lot of work, yeah. But it was really everything you do in life, and in all seriousness, everything you do in life, it takes you to that next level. And owning a business, it taught me so many life's lessons, good and bad. Mostly good. It let me know that I can do anything I want to. The main thing I learned is that, if you're going to do, you have to have that passion. Because as a business owner, you are the last one to get paid. So you have to have this as your passion. Everything else comes before you. And which is kind of how I got into higher ed.
Tell me about that.
Yes. So I during the restaurant, at the end of the day, sometimes I was like, gosh, how am I going to pay my car note? How am I going to do these things? So someone suggested, why don't you be a substitute teacher? And you have flexibility. I thought, so I applied at the district and they hired me. And one of the teachers, she went on maternity leave. So they asked would I cover her class for the rest of the year. And I thought, okay. And it was a junior high and I really did like it and loved the students. The great thing about being a sub, though, you don't have to have parent conference.
There you go.
But other than that, it was great. And so things just started, the atmosphere started aligning itself and pushing me towards that. And so after I graduated, because while I was doing that, I was able to, be at the library at the school and use their resources. So it made sense. But when I graduated, I was looking for a job and a job came up and I still owned my restaurant. So I was still trying to find a job so I could live. And I was able to get a job at a small college in Dallas as a teacher of business administration. And so that's kind of where it started. And I've been in education since then. And it must be what I'm supposed to do because it just, I never leave this industry. It has its rewards and it's very challenging. And at the end of the day, you do make a difference in someone's life.
For sure. And I've seen, I was with you when you were at your previous position at a different school, and saw how much the students loved you and respected you and what an impact you had on them on a daily basis. And I imagine that feels incredibly rewarding. So let's take that into the conversation about Saybrook. Tell me what Saybrook does, and tell me specifically what you do for them.
Okay, cool. Saybrook is a different university, as you know, where you and I met back some years back. I was president of a college in North Hollywood. And so everything, as I said earlier, everything you do, it brings all your experiences to your next adventure. I joke with some of my friends. We always say, oh, when I get a certain age, my retirement job is going to be Walmart. Well, I'm not retired, but this is like my Walmart job. You know, the one you look forward to going to work every day. This is my Walmart job. Saybrook is a graduate university. We offer masters and PhDs, and MBA and DBAs. And our mission is that we relentlessly pursue a social, just, sustainable world by educating humanistic leaders. And that humanistic part is a big part of what we do here at Saybrook. It's humanistic is everything, not just I'm going to treat you for this particular condition. It's your environment. Everything goes into this humanistic, practice. And so that's what we start our day off when we have a meeting with a mindful meditation or something to kind of set it off on a positive tone. That I like about Saybrook, and everybody has that heart and they want that humanistic spirit. So this has been really a different endeavor coming from being a campus president to director of university relations. Very different, but I get to be creative. Our president is very open to all the crazy things I come up with, I'm really proud that, I've grown our alumni department, because that's part of university relations, it's alumni, institutional advancement and giving. And I get to spearhead most of the activity for our scholarships. And that is one of the things I love, because that's where you can help someone. And we have so many first generation people that are not first generation in college, but a lot of first generation in graduate school. And that is a big deal. And graduate school is not cheap, but it's going to change your life. And I believe in, certainly getting your bachelor's, but if you're really going to change the trajectory of your life, you got to, really elevate your education. And I see that, and also adds to credibility in business and so forth. So I'm enjoying this, but I try to find ways to get scholarships for students so that they can continue, especially if you're doing your doctorate. It requires a lot of research and statistics and all kinds of things. So, need a little extra money. And so I also run the grants department. So, so it's a lot. So I tease everybody. I said, when they ask me a question, I said, let me get that hat. So I put that hat on right quick. But that is something I really enjoy, actually watching someone's life change exponentially. Because if you ideally, if you had a plan and you get your master's or your PhD, well, then you're poised to do big things in life. And it's, the way you really want to guide it. So that's what I really love about Saybrook now, and having that opportunity. One thing that we did recently that I would have never thought I would ever be able to do. We have so many people that have written books. And so I was like, they're asking, they wanted a platform. And I thought, I can do that. That's my superpower, making it happen.
Yeah.
And so we had our inaugural film, book, and poetry festival in July.
So tell me about that.
Yes, it was so cool. I made sure we had committees and so forth to review all of the submissions. And so I made sure that I wasn't on any committee because I'm putting it together. And I just wanted to see them organically when the festival happened, so I could be like the audience.
Mm-hmm.
There were so many great things. We had the poets kicked it off, and we had one of the winners kicked it off. His name is Bo Acoin,
Mm-hmm.
and Bo had a poem that he presented. I didn't kill her, and it was so amazing. We had short films, long films, one film called The Rhythm of Blue. One of my colleagues actually put that together, and it's about mental illness and depression for women.
Wow.
Powerful. We even had day two, we had a film about ghosts, and one of our grads, it was a 10-year project capturing paranormal experiences. It was so good.
Wow.
So I'll make sure I give you the link so that people can see it. I actually recorded the day 1 and 2 of the event, but I never thought I could do anything like that. And
Wow.
I did it.
How exciting. So you said this is the inaugural. Is there a plan to do this every year?
Every year, we're looking at keeping it in July because it made sense. No reason to change, I guess.
Yeah.
And we want to see who's doing what out there. And the poems were phenomenal. Some of the poems just left me going, wow. So I certainly invite everyone to come and see it again. And, we're trying to do a lot of things that are going to impact the community. And I'm so glad I get to be the person that spearheads it. And as you know me, a lot of energy.
Yes.
And every time you come up with something great, I follow you. Because it's always something beneficial. So, but Saybrook allows me to be that creative person and where I get to use my superpower of, I can make it happen. I'll say, I can write the check, but I have to get people that can help me cash it.
Right.
And
yeah.
So
you are an amazing implementer. And it sounds like this event featured student work and also staff work. Is that right?
And alumni.
How wonderful. And was it was a physical event where people read poetry live and you screened short films and long films?
Virtually, but yes.
Got it.
Because of COVID, it just posed so many challenges. But I said I wasn't going to let that happen. So we did it on the remote platform. Mm-hmm. And what happens is after we did the poets, and then after the poets read theirs, we had a brief pause where they could go to the main floor and meet with the poets, and they got to say why they wrote it and what their inspiration was. And I thought, oh, that's so good. So we did the same thing with the filmmakers and then the authors. So they loved it. The presenters, it was like really something special for them. So I can't wait to do that again. And we do open it up to outside of Saybrook if we can, for works that are within that mental health or wellness genre of things.
That makes sense.
I cannot wait to do it again. We even did a virtual mind-body wellness fair.
Nice.
Yeah. So that was cool because it was planned in person and then COVID hit.
Right. So you've had to do a lot of, this word has become overused. The word of 2020 was pivot, but you had to do a lot of pivoting in order to fit that all in. But it sounds like you did a really good job of making things happen, which is what you're so good at.
Absolutely. It was so much fun.
Tell me in that vein, you with your fundraising hat on, you are working on a new event called Wine with a Purpose. So talk about that for a minute. What's the intention of that, and what's that event going to look like?
Oh gosh, yes, and I'm certainly in the planning phase of that. But Wine with a Purpose, one of our board of trustee members, who is also a graduate of Saybrook, early on during the onset of the pandemic, her younger sister passed away of COVID. So we put together a scholarship, and then so we're still working. It's been very traumatic for her and her family because they had others that also had COVID and did not make it. So we were trying to figure out how do we fund this scholarship, because her scholarship, it's the Marlene Chance memorial scholarship for mental health and creativity. Because we have a creativity department here too.
Yeah.
And so that is one of her passions. So, and our trustee, her name is Dr. Gloria Chance. She is a psychologist. And so mental health is, first and foremost in her life. So we're going to put the Wine with a Purpose together. Women, men, whoever would like to enjoy wine. We're going to have that, since we're going to do it virtually. We will be working with different vineyards to try to get their a variety of wines packaged so we can have the taste. But we're also going to show excerpts of one of the films from the film festival, The Rhythm of Blue, because we want to raise money to fund the mental health scholarships. And we're trying to focus it on underserved communities because that, with this COVID, those communities were hard hit.
Sure.
And they need to have someone that somewhat resembles them to help them solve their mental challenges that have come about from being isolated, depressed. And so we want to focus on those, because as you know, to get a doctorate, to be able to practice, it takes years. So we want to help those that are in their last year so that we can really start getting psychologists out there to actually be of help to turn this around or help people through it. So we're going to do those that are getting ready to enter into their dissertation. That
sounds amazing. When is this event happening, the Wine with a Purpose event?
I'm planning it for November, so it's we're going to be working feverishly, but that's usually because I want to make sure that we don't wait too long, because there's so many people still hurting, and I want to try to get the scholarships out for the fall. Our goal is to get 22 scholarships by the end of 2022 through different efforts, and this is our first effort for that. And our scholarships for this purpose is $2,500 per scholarship. To try to help students in the creativity programs and the mental health. And we have counseling and psychology. So trying to make sure we cover that. But it will be in November. But also I'm going to work with the vineyards to have gifts, because a lot of people, we have everything. So sometimes having the gift of a good wine is better than, well, we already have a TV. We already have clothes.
Right.
I don't know about you, but during COVID, I have bought anything I needed.
Yes, for sure.
I want for nothing.
Right.
But I could use a glass of wine. So I hope, and I certainly would love to invite Align Women to, work with us on that so that we can impact other women's lives to help other women.
Yep. And we have a great platform to help promote that. So when it is time, I will be happy to help. I'm gonna flip a couple of the questions around, because that is a nice lead into a question that you had for me, because I give my guests the opportunity to pose a question to me as we're setting up this process. And your question for me was, what's your favorite thing to do when relaxing? And I'm going to turn that question around and ask you that in a second.
Oh, that's right. Ooh.
So I'm going to tell you mine. So for me, if it's the end of the day, I find that I've physically run out of energy before I mentally run out of energy. And that creates an interesting time from about 5 p.m. until I'm ready to go to bed, where I'm not really interested in doing a lot of physical activity, but I need something to keep my brain busy. And so during the pandemic, I took on a new project, which was embroidery. And so I work on embroidery projects at the end of the day, and I typically turn on an audiobook. And so I can do both at the same time, because they're totally different parts of my brain. So I create these beautiful embroidery pieces now, and I'm probably on about, I think I'm just shy of 20 books that I have read this year, some of them on a Kindle, some of them audiobooks, but I've just been chewing through books as I've been doing embroidery projects. And so that has been a really nice way for me to relax. So how about you, other than a lovely glass of wine?
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is I like wine, but I haven't probably had any in a long time. So I can't wait for this. But what I like to do, similar to you, I love reading, but I kind of fell off because working, you read and you sign stuff. You do so much throughout the day. I really like being a slug or a sloth most, when I get home. I even have pajamas with slugs and sloths on it,
Nice.
I'm so proud of them. But, I started listening to books on tape very recently and rejoined my book club because we're doing it virtually now. I'm like, I can rejoin the club in Texas. So I do that. But when I get home, I'm now reserving my book on tape in the car because it is just like, it doesn't even bother me to drive on the freeway anymore here in LA.
Yeah.
But when I get home, I have an adjustable bed.
You mean one that tilts up so you can sit up in it and
feet and head and it vibrates, girl. So, you have one button that does, has a TV, a TV button that does the feet and the head at the same time. And I love watching television. I have no shame in my game. I've heard people say, I don't even own a TV. I'm like, well, you're not impressing me because I got a bunch of them and I love them. No, and I love it. And I like mindless things, but I love documentaries too. That's kind of I'm a nerd.
Yeah.
So I love documentaries, but I'll come up with something and binge them. And, I have to binge things in my little, she just turned 12. My daughter just turned 12. And I have to binge things with her. Like I've had to watch Riverdale, which is really Veronica and Jughead from back in the day. I'm like, really? So I have to watch things like that. But for the most part, slugging out on TV because you have so much minutia going on in the world and I just want nothing. I don't like the housewife stuff because that's too much when they're fighting and so that's
too much drama. I don't like the drama either. I like to be mellow and chill. I totally get it.
Yeah, mellow, chill. I like I'm a Southern girl, so I like a good, you can't see my glass of iced tea.
Of course. A glass of sweet tea, right? Yeah.
Yes, it's sweet tea. That's the only kind of tea.
I believe that.
Yes. But no, that's what I really like doing. It's just relaxing. And on Saturdays, I have really no shame. I'll sleep all day if you let me. And they said, you didn't do anything today. And I said, if you weren't talking to me, I would still be doing nothing. That's how I am. Because that's okay with me. As you get older, people could, back in the day, I think when you're younger as a woman, people could influence you and say something and make you go, oh, I'm just gonna, oh gosh. But now that I'm of a certain age, I do what I feel that's best for me mentally and physically. And I can do better physically, exercise, and I admit that. But as a woman, that's coming to my own, I'm not as closed off about being opinionated. And I don't let people intimidate me to make me feel bad about doing the things I like. Because, I say, you do what you like and I do what I like.
Yeah.
And that's, it's liberating.
Yeah. In our house, we call that giving everybody the dignity of their own experience. You know what? If that's what you need to do, you go do it. And
that's right.
And feel good about it. So I'm gonna use that to transition into the last question I have for you, which is something that you have allowed me to ask you, and I greatly appreciate it. It's a conversation that I think we should have more, and you had agreed with me on that. I want to know what you, in your experience, wish that other people understood about your life as a person of color and as a woman of color. What do you wish someone like me understood about that?
Wow. Definitely. I wish, and we're kind of biased because we know each other, but I wish other people, because we've had good, solid conversations and things like that over the years. But what I wish other people look like that would I don't know why I'm stuttering, but I wish other people would know about women of color is that we're not invisible. We feel invisible. We have to be in worlds that are not of our own, but we have to acclimate. We have to be quiet. We can't always share our opinion. And people think we can. We really can't, because as a woman, professional woman of color in the business world, it's only going to be one or two of you.
Mm-hmm.
If you see someone that's a president of something, you look at the whole, if there's more than one president of different divisions, it's probably going to be only one.
Mm-hmm.
And if two come in, you can't really be friends with the other person that looks similar to you, because, it's one or two and it could go back to one. And you have to fight for that position. It's like ants trying to crawl out of a barrel, you're knocking everybody down.
Mm-hmm.
That I don't like. But that's the way it feels. Sometimes in the business world, with women, we get this all the time. You come up with an idea, they're like, and then Joe Blow says it, great idea. You're like, didn't I just say that? Is everybody's ears plugged up? What's wrong? But it happens a lot beyond just being a woman. But think about being a woman of color, because then you're even valued less. And people say, oh no, you've come a long way. You should really be grateful. And I want to say, did you really say that? You want to have things in your life, but I have to be grateful for less.
Yeah.
And that's okay. So I wish people knew how we felt. I happen to right now date someone that's of a different race. And he probably gets tired of me talking about it, but you know what? That's what has happened to us so many years. People don't want to talk about it. They're like, oh, but you're not slaves anymore. I was like, ooh. But, no, we're not. But we want people to stop trivializing our experience. Stop when we say, well, we would like reparations. Well, why that? Because other people have gotten their reparations. Now, we know it was 40 acres of a mule, but, me personally, I'd rather some sort of 10-year or more tax break or something, because I don't want a mule and I don't want 40 acres.
Right.
But I want the equivalent monetary, something like that.
Yeah. And the acknowledgement.
Yes, because that was promised. And stop saying, well, no, it wasn't just that. And it's not over, because it is, racism doesn't leave. And if we're looking at today's climate, you got to know it didn't go away.
Sure.
And it's just, it reared its ugly head. And I know people are not going to be comfortable listening even to this, but I got to tell you, it hasn't. I just, people are making light of what's going on. And I think, several of us have talked about it, some people that we used to be friends with, and they've said some things on social media, and it's like, you really feel that way? Wow. Unfollow, unfriend.
Right. For sure.
Yeah. And
so I got two things out of that I want to circle back on. One of them was that you said, don't trivialize your experience. And I think that's a really important thing to keep in mind. And when people are uncomfortable having a conversation, I think they often try and dismiss it by minimizing it or trivializing it. And I think that's a really important thing for everybody to keep in mind. The other thing that you said is that you often feel invisible, and that you think that is a common experience of women of color in business. What can I do as a woman, but not a woman of color, in a situation where I might see that somebody's experience is getting minimized or trivialized, or that their contributions aren't being acknowledged? You talked about the experience of coming up with an idea and having it sort of be dismissed, and then some white guy turns around and says the same idea, and everybody pats him on the back and thinks it's brilliant. What can I do beyond just being aware? Because awareness is obviously a good start, but what can I do to move forward and try and contribute to fixing that in whatever small contribution I can make?
Wow. I think certainly, as women, we've learned that we have to have each other's back. So I think we're good with that. But when you go to that next level, when you notice that someone does work hard, and just so you know, we are taught as Black people, Black women, if we're in this professional world, our parents, our families have taught us, you go to work, you got to be on time. If you do this, you got to do it better than everybody. Because if not, you will not be able to do anything. So just already know when we come to the table, we're working hard. We didn't just get here by the luck. We used to hear people say affirmative action. There's a lot of people. So if it's only one or two, these people had to really work hard.
Yeah.
So what you could do is like when you see, when you're in that opportunity, when you're in that position to hire someone, look at what they contribute. Because we all have different experiences and know that they come from a good place, even if it's uncomfortable to say, well, I know you're in insurance, so well, maybe let's look at this group. And this is why I think, that would be a good sector of the community to target or whatever. I shouldn't say target because it doesn't sound, like it's a good thing, but, pursue.
Right.
But just, make sure that because sometimes you'll see other people just like they'll totally not allow you to talk in a meeting. Or if you see that person in an event, say, well, what do you think?
Yeah.
Or, because we tend to maybe not say a lot in certain, at certain events or in certain company because we're not yet comfortable. So maybe start making, just open up the door to allow them to feel comfortable and be creative and, make sure that they have that opportunity to actually shine a little so people know, hey, this person, somebody I might want to get to know. And it would change a lot for a lot of people because, we have to go places so many times that we're just not comfortable. And if we're asked to go, we're like, oh, let's just get this over with and get on home, but you want everybody to get something out of, an event or an experience. And if they're quiet and no one is talking to them or asking their opinion or giving them that opportunity to share, then they remain invisible. And so that's what I think, and encourage others to do the same thing.
I'm going to leave that there because that is perfect and perfectly you. And I appreciate you so much being on the podcast today. Normally, I ask my guests where people can find you, but your beautiful screen has all of your information, including your phone numbers and your email address. So that is where people can reach out to you if they are interested in participating in the Wine with a Purpose scholarship fundraiser in particular. Please reach out to Carmen for more information.
Absolutely.
And it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the Align Women podcast today, Carmen. Thank you.
Thank you for having me and have an amazing, amazing week and month.
Thank you. And look for more episodes with more amazing women at alignwomenpodcast.com. Thanks for listening to the Align Women podcast. You can find more episodes with more amazing women at alignwomenpodcast.com and visit alignwomen.org to learn more about our leadership and networking organization. This is Amy Evans, and you've been listening to the Align Women podcast.